Let's take back our city, one vaccination at a time. Safe and effective COVID-19 vaccines are here. Get yours when it's your turn. Learn more at nyc.gov/COVID vaccine. No matter how much we want it gone, COVID-19 is still here. That's why we all need to keep wearing our face coverings, keep physical distancing, and keep washing our hands. And as always, stay at home if you're feeling sick. The COVID-19 vaccine is available to certain groups in NYC, but now is not the time to stop protecting ourselves. Learn more at nyc.gov/health/coronavirus.
part of the hip hop culture, you gotta speak up.
We live in a world where women of color's voices are marginalized.
What we see now as the hip hop culture,
That's not hip hop culture.
it's the hip hop industry, right? It's the rap game.
That's not all about, you know what I'm saying, popping the titty out and dropping it like it's hot. You know what I'm saying? It's much bigger than that, you know what I'm saying? It's much deeper than that.
The men in the industry and the people who run it can't have women of color who are powerful, who are LGBT, who are smart, who are political.
We're in a state of emergency. It is your responsibility as a woman to fight for your rights.
Hip hop is here to stay. Throw your hands in the air if you're rocking with me. Franchise and city from around the way. And free franchise.
Hi, my name is Latere.
My name is Kathleen Adams.
And how do we meet? It was divine intervention. I truly believe that.
Well, I've been to a lot of hip hop shows in the past. They're all male dominated. I was basically frustrated with the lack of women having a stage.
Yeah, it's difficult for me because I am a woman in the hip hop industry, and no matter what, you're still put in a position where you feel uncomfortable. And growing up, being a young girl that saw Queen Latifah, my idea of hip hop was like power to the people, UNITY, don't call me a bitch. We're talking about unemployment. We're talking about the conditions of oppression. Our brothers and sisters are the ones that created hip hop because of their conditions.
People still ask what's the role of women in hip hop. And a lot of times people say to sing or to be the sidekick or to be dancing in somebody's video, and they don't realize that all across the world there are tons of female MCs, graffiti artists, breakdancers, DJs, and mothers of some of the greatest hip hop minds on the planet, men and women.
I feel like it's important that we take hip hop back to the root, where it comes from, as a voice of the people, oppressed people, which are women too.
And I was like, yo, it's crazy. I've been thinking about this. How about we do like a Mama's Hip Hop Kitchen, because Latina and Black women and just women of color, we always meet in the kitchen, and in the kitchen is where we talk about our issues.
So we created Mama's Hip Hop Kitchen, the soup kitchen for the hip hop soul.
Yes,
which
for the
is
hip hop soul.
What's up? My name is Patty Dukes. I'm here representing for Momma's Hip Hop Kitchen. I can't wait. It's gonna be dope. Patty Dukes, La Bruja, Queen, Goddess, Bless, Rock, so Lady. And it's free? Are you stupid? It's a recession break.
I ain't never been a shy type. Been a shawty with the singer in the mind right. If you're thinking I'ma fail, get your mind right. I'm a Shot City champ in the limelight. I ain't never been a shy type. Been a shawty with the singer in the mind right. If you're thinking I'ma fail, get your mind right. I'm a Shot City
We have
champ
been
in the
blessed
limelight.
with young women, 10 years old to 83-year-old women that feel that they're a part of hip hop and have used it.
female MCs, B-girls, DJs,
Anybody that feels that they're a part of this hip hop culture and need a platform.
and to reclaim hip hop as well. And so that's what we really created.
Welcome, everybody. Hey, love.
Hey, love. Oh, you look beautiful, Mama.
You look cute too. I know we're not in the same city, but we're together in spirit. And hi, everyone out there in the audience watching, whether it be live or recorded. We're so happy to welcome you to Mama's Hip Hop Kitchen in Her Shoes, the series. So let me tell you a little bit about what this new series is. Navigating surviving challenging shifts is at the core of every single artist that has graced the Mama's Hip Hop Kitchen stage. Choosing to courageously face changes is in our DNA, and we pride ourselves in that truth. The Hip Hop Kitchen was created to hold space for our community's stories and its storytellers. For over a decade, we've curated sacred, powerful, and super healing live all-women's hip hop showcases. In 2007, we set out to create a safe space that would allow for our individual and collective experiences to be heard and recognized. And even through the pandemic, we will continue to provide a sacred healing space. So thank you for joining us this evening as we abundantly flow into the new currents and move into a virtual interview series called In Her Shoes. This monthly series is dedicated to sisters who have walked with us and nurtured our sisterhood for many, many years. We'll highlight their journeys in hip hop and learn about the steps that they have taken to walk with confidence and grit. So thank you for joining us. And we're super excited to have you guys here. My name is Kathleen Adams.
And I'm La Tere.
And we are yes.
Kathleen. I really want to take a moment, do a moment of silence really quick, really quickly before we move into the rest of the program. I really just want to highlight how important it is that we take a moment of silence for this dual pandemic that we're experiencing. Not only COVID, but racism also. And so for us to just be conscious, if we could take a moment of silence for that.
Definitely.
Thank you.
No, thank you. So, as I mentioned, we're in this new series this new space called In Her Shoes, the series. But for those of you guys who don't know what Mama's Hip Hop Kitchen is, I want to explain a little bit about who we are before we start this evening's programming. So, this event, this sacred space, was co-founded by myself, Kathleen Adams, and Lex Hatteray. And we really wanted to bring together women of color activists for an interactive community event. We were irritated with hip hop because it has drastically changed its 30-year evolution. once a voice within press, commercialism in corporate America now makes a mockery of the struggles of communities of color. These abusers use hip hop as a tool for violence, degradation of communities of color, and commit rampant violations against the feminine psyche and spirit. Momma's Hip Hop Kitchen believes women of color are in a state of emergency, where the face of women in hip hop was a powerful MC promoting self-respect and esteem. The public is now bombarded with provocative, lustful images, and it is our responsibility to take this issue by force and reestablish what it means to be a woman in the history and the culture of hip hop. So thank you so much for joining us and really keeping the spirit alive even in the pandemic. And that's the history of Momma's Hip Hop Kitchen. Wanted to also introduce to you one of our panelists that we have this evening. Her name is Toni Blackman, and she is amazing. She's an award-winning artist whose steadfast work and commitment to hip hop and has led the U.S. State Department to select her as an American Cultural Specialist on one of the first hip hop envoys. Her past tours have included Senegal, Ghana, and the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Southern Africa, Southeast Asia, and Brazil. She has traveled to 47 countries, performing, speaking, and teaching. So far, Toni has co-produced versions of Invisible Woman, a project conceived in the Congo, across Africa. Her Afro hip-hop music collaborations preceded the current trend, and Toni strives to continue to share her music. Honored as a Dove Real Woman for her work, building the self-esteem of girls, Toni is an Echoing Green Fellow, an Open Society Institute Soros Fellow, creator of the Cypher Workshop, also known as the Freestyle Union, and Rhyme Like a Girl, and also author of Intercourse, a collection of poetry and inspirational prose released on Viller/Random House. As a music educator, Toni has spent 2 years as a teaching artist and hip hop specialist at Carnegie Hall, worked extensively with the Apollo Theater Education Department, and has served as a poet in residence at the Studio Museum of Harlem. As a noted educator, artist, author, and more, she has appeared in Forbes magazine, the Melissa Harris Perry Show, MTV, VH1, among others, and some noted publications featuring Toni include the New York Times, Washington Post, Marie Claire, Essence, and more. So thank you so much and welcome, Toni.
Toni!
Hey.
Hey there. How's it going, y'all?
It's going. You look beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So do you. Whoop, whoop,
Gracias. Oh, Toni, I'm so happy you're with us.
Yes. I'm really excited about the series. It's a really important work. And like Momma's Hip Hop Kitchen do, it's happening.
Well, we want to actually introduce you to our audience because some of them might not know you because this year we're virtual, so we definitely have a more expansive audience. Can you give a little taste of what you do?
Oh, a little taste? You mean artistically? Huh? Well, I've been doing a lot of hip hop meditation. And so I do a lot of freestyling. I do a lot of spoken word. I'm a poet and an MC. But right now my heart is really in elevating lyrics. It's like I tell people, if you want to keep it all going and energy flowing, you must remember and know, worry does not make us strong. It just keeps the negative on. It becomes like a prayer of all that we fear. Intentions are clear, you be losing your hair and losing your sleep when your thoughts compete with your dream. When they're filled with worry, we lose patience when we're in a hurry, thinking ourselves into anxiety. Some will think you are crazy because you choose not to worry. Please let them be. Set yourself free. Manage your own energy emotionally. Faith without works is dead, dead, dead. But there is no faith when you live in your head. Ha! Why worry? 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 If you don't have control over a thing, why worry? If you do have control over a thing, why worry? And if you have a community and a fam like Momma's Hip Hop Kitchen, why worry? Walk in faith, y'all.
Oh my God, that was amazing, Toni.
Toni, I just want to hug you. I miss our hugs and stuff.
Yes.
So thanks for hugging my heart. I needed that. Why worry?
Why worry?
Why worry? Wow. That's the concept.
And we're not going to be worrying because we've got such a great lineup tonight. And the next person that I actually want to introduce is La Bruja. So Caridad de la Luz is a multifaceted performer known as La Bruja. She raps, acts, sings, recites, dances, does stand-up comedy, writes plays, poems, songs, scripts, and teaches others how to do the same. Winner of the Jerome Hill Artist Fellowship 2020 to 2021, she has been one of America's leading spoken word poets for over 15 years and has received the Puerto Rican Women's Legacy Award, an Edgar Allan Poe Award from the Bronx Historical Society, and was honored as a Bronx Living Legend by the Bronx Music Heritage Center. She was presented with a citation of merit from the Bronx Borough President and named Top 20 Puerto Rican Women Everyone Should Know. Her hip hop albums are Brujalicious and For Which It Stands. So welcome, La Bruja. Woo!
I'm so happy to be here. Yo, Toni, that was crazy. Give it up for Toni Blackman.
Woo!
I'm so honored to be here.
Está preciosa. Está preciosa.
Thank you. You too. Everybody, look at us, like teenagers.
Fresh place, and here we are.
So great.
Can you give a little taste of what you do to our audience? Because they want to experience you.
Okay, well, I just wrote a new poem. I've been trying to write a lot of new stuff, and since this is all about matriarchy and womanhood, I have a poem for the woman, and it goes like this. In every flower that I see, a woman is staring back at me. I see her hair in all the trees. Her fragrance dances through the leaves, tickles my nose and makes me sneeze. I feel a woman in every breeze. Her sorrow has filled the salty seas, and tears of joy her fluidity, of masculine femininity, balanced being of resiliency. Her arms lift me up to the mountaintops. Her working hands below my feet are rocks, the kind that would never let me drop. Her clouds remind me to never stop. Wonderful woman that is Mother Earth, to all this glorious life gave birth. In every beautiful element that makes up the world, I imagine she too was a little girl. The precious petals that decorate her gaze, the dewy mist, her morning haze, the gentle place between dreams and wake. To see a woman is all it takes. For all things big once were small. To grow that seed was woman's call. She answered light in darkness fall. I've seen a woman through it all.
Fire. Oh my God.
That was inspired by, the late, great Maya Angelou, one of my greatest inspirations. I've been thinking and listening to her speeches and how she had always spoke of rising up and, a powerful woman. And so we have to, follow in her shoes, right? This is in her shoes.
In her shoes.
In her shoes. So you got to find those women that you would love to walk in those shoes and follow the path, So this is a sacred thing that we're doing. It's blessed, Well, I mean, how many? 14 years.
14 years.
I know, that's crazy.
And I have to acknowledge the color patterns. We are all in sync. We are, and this was not planned.
I'm so excited. Our time is really short, and I feel like I need 17,000 hours with y'all because there's just so much. There's just so much, and I feel I can't believe that these are my friends. Like, y'all are my friends. Like, I text you what's going on in my life, right? And it's just amazing that maybe I get to walk. I get to walk in your shoes sometimes, right? When you share your stories when you share your stories with me. And so I just want to say thank you for the trust that we share. I'm really thankful for this time of COVID has put me in a position to really be like, what does my tribe look like? And this is a part of what my tribe looks like. This is what we're reflecting out to the world. This is what sisterhood looks like, that I can count on on folks that have so many amazing things happening and that you could take the time out and show up. So gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. So Kathleen, I'm gonna go into the questions, cool?
Sounds great, let's do it.
All right, fantastic. So the first question, so what do you play when you wanna get hyped up? What do you play when you're like, boom, I'm finna go kick it with my girls, or mama, I'm getting cute? Like, what do you listen to?
Man, that is a great question.
Hey, perreo, it don't matter.
It depends on the mood, but I do turn to Biggie quite often. Give me the loot, or I do get into Biggie, or and I get into my Riri. I love my Rihanna. I love her. There's so many. It depends on the mood. Toni, how about you?
Yeah, it depends on my mood, I mean, it might be Anderson .Paak. It might be house music. It might be it depends on my mood. It might be 90s hip hop. Now, half of the time it's 90s hip hop. So to choose one thing is not. I'm playing it all, from Biggie to Tribe Called Quest to, I'm playing. I might pull out the Fugees, Illmatic, and that's where I'm like, I'm ready to go. So,
I love it.
Don't vibe. Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
And salsa has its place in there too.
Salsa has its place in there too. Yes, indeed. Indeed. And a little sukus.
Hey, for sure. I'm loving it. What I listen to is Optimistic, Sounds of Blackness. I'll be like, so that's a go-to song. That's the go-to song right now. How about you, Kathleen, real quick?
To get hype? Depending on like the mood, but for me, I love James Brown. So I'm like, gotta get funky, gotta have that soul. And you also Earth, Wind, and Fire. I'm a huge EWF fan. So old school, I'm all about it all day. I'll take some remixes, but love it.
Love it. So ladies, I would like to know how you were as a child. Really briefly, if you could tell me how you were as a child.
The same way that I am now, I'm the same way. I have not changed. I'm still friends with my childhood friends, and I was rhyming and doing poetry and singing and doing open mics in my living room. Was always in the arts, always loved it. I started, I spoke to my childhood friend today, as a matter of fact, reminiscing of my, first rap. When I first wrote my first rap, she was there, and
She was
there. And my friend Grace, we were in PS 100 in Soundview together, and then still stayed friends in junior high school, even though we went to different schools. And I had written a song called Square Pegs, and it was about these like bullies, like these girl bullies. Square Pegs. It was so edgy. That was my first rap, and it was just all about like these bullying girls, like mean girls that would try to put me down and whatever, but that I had flow and I could do this anyway, and whatever. Yeah, I was like 14 when I wrote that.
Wow. So you were involved. You were always curious, always an explorer.
And a tomboy. Always, getting scuffed up, climbing trees and, doing all of that stuff. And back in those days in the Bronx, it was a lot more green than it even is now. So like there was empty lots for days in Soundview. And we would go in there, it was another world. It was like Goonies. The Bronx,
Goonies.
It was. It really was. And it was such an adventure. I would not change that, for the world. And we didn't know we were surrounded by, dilapidation, and, it didn't feel like that, there was still an innocence to it, and the arts were always there. And like inside the house we had salsa, outside we had hip hop, and so there was just this both, this
What a
world,
good mix.
which informed
What a good mix.
the music that I do today, and the poetry, the bilingualism and stuff. Same person.
Yeah, I think I was quiet yet precocious. So I am the truth teller that I am now. I was always that person as a child. It's the reason why I became an artist is because the adults didn't want to answer my questions. And so poetry was the outlet for me to dive deep into these thoughts that nobody wanted to have with an 8-year-old. And I was fortunate, I was blessed to have my Aunt Jennifer, who put a pen in my hand and said, "Here, girl," because she was an English teacher, English professor, and a poet, and was really active at UC Berkeley. And so she really helped set this destiny along. And I was always dancing. I always had a dance group. I was always in a talent show. I was the choreographer. I was the marketer. I was the brand management expert. I was the... So in that respect, my sister cousin was being interviewed for a documentary about me. And she started to go through things I had forgotten. And she's like, "No, Toni was in the backyard of a grandma's house. And granddaddy was like, 'What y'all doing?' And Toni was charging the people to get into the play." And we were like 9. So she remembers stuff. I don't remember doing all this, but she was like, "No." And she directed it. She wrote it. So here we are.
This is so fun.
That is amazing. That's so you, Toni. Wearing like 20 hats.
Fun. Oh man, I would have been your friend back then.
Yeah, we would have been in the
I would
talent
have been y'all's friend back then, for sure. We would have found each other back then.
Yes.
For sure. I'm so glad our paths crossed. So, okay, so y'all been rocking with us for pretty much over a decade.
Right.
And when we asked for you to participate, if you would like to participate, you had absolutely no hesitation. One was like, "Oh my God, yes." The other one was like, "Absolutely." And so, Toni, you came through Mama's Hip Hop Kitchen. You brought Rhyme Like a Girl. Bruja, you came through and you brought your daughter.
Right.
And I know, Toni, those the Rhyme Like a Girl, those are your babies, right? Those are your babies. No, those are your babies. You've supported them and you've helped them navigate life, real life stuff, and not just being an MC, right? And so it's so dope and your contributions, in truth, and I know Kathleen can snap it up for this. Your contributions have really made an impact on why we're still here as Mama's Hip Hop Kitchen. And so and I want to know, because Mama's Hip Hop Kitchen has this like artivist, right, energy. You're an artist and you're an activist. And so my question to you is, at what point did you have that understanding that you were using your art as a form of activism, that you were an artivist?
Well, I can say that it was in 1996 when I started, and there was a movement to release the Puerto Rican political prisoners, and at that time, and I think Dilcia was still in there, a bunch of our Puerto Rican political freedom fighters for the independence of Puerto Rico. And I remember lending my voice and my poetry for that. And I invited my grandmother at the time, my Bronx grandmother, may she rest in peace, generosa, which means generous.
Generosa.
And she showed up, and when I did my political Puerto Rican poetry, freedom or whatever, after it was over, she pulled me to the side and she was like, "I don't ever want to see you doing this again." She was afraid for my life.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized, wow, this is activism. This is considered rebel-rousing revolution. And I was like, oh, okay. So, and I didn't stop, obviously. And and then she grew to understand and love, and then she had dementia, so then it didn't matter anyway. But I would still bring her to the shows, and just yeah, Abuelita was such a big part of that whole development, and I was able to mourn Abuelita on the stage of Mama's Hip Hop Kitchen, singing with my daughter when she passed. We did that Talking to the Moon rendition, and that was real, raw, live hip hop. And Mama's Hip Hop Kitchen has been the platform for us to be women, like fully, not hypersexualized, not any of those things, like ourselves authentically as sisters, as mothers, as daughters. So yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yes. Yeah, I think I was not consciously an artivist. It's just it's been in my nature. I've been a servant since I was a child. I've always been against injustice anywhere with anyone. And my first poems were protest poems at 8 years old. I was upset that the garbage men were on strike and no one was concerned about how they were going to feed their families. And that was the big debate. One of my first poems was about that, and so it's just someone introduced me as a hip hop activist one day, and that's when I realized. And because I didn't think of art, in that my assumption and my idealism is that every artist cared. And I was in my 20s when my naivete, at every turn, I was getting slapped in the back of the head with reality. So I was still innocent, well into my 20s, really thinking that everybody cared. And the way I came up in hip hop music and culture as an idealist, I was a part of Zulu Nation in DC, and then at one point led the Zulu Queens in DC. It was just like, we didn't even have a word for community service. It's like, if you were a hip hop head, you went to the elderly home to help. If you were a hip hop head, you helped clean the block. If you were a hip hop head, you helped out at the Latin American Youth Center, like, because they needed help that day. Like, it was just not a thing. And so it was like, but reality hit later.
Wow, that's so true. It feels like, I guess for me, what's so great about Mama's Hip Kitchen is that, like, all the artists that we collaborate with, just in their DNA, it's just a part of who they are. And I think it really makes our sisterhood stand out, because we don't just like talk the talk, we walk it at the same time. And you guys are living it.
Yeah.
Yes. Anybody can get Googled right now, right? And be seen doing something that's making the world a better place. Yeah. And that's so dope. One of the things that I wanted to highlight about both of you, when you both spoke, when you came in, it was about elevation. So both of you, it was about frequency. It was about like uplifting, about rising. And so that's the energy that you guys have always brought to Mama's Hip Hop Kitchen, which makes our work easier, because we don't really, we just create the space, and then y'all take the people to this next level, which is the medicine, right? Which is what happens in the kitchen when we're able to tell our stories and be free in that space with the women in our family and talk about what's really happening. And so y'all create that space, and it's healthy. Right. It's healthy. It's healthy, Can
you imagine how many young girls this work has influenced? You created the platform. Like, you guys took it upon yourselves to find the biggest stage in the Bronx possible and make it free to the public, and it be packed. Like, right. that is historic. Like, I couldn't have organized that. That it's not in me to do. So everyone has their role, and it's important equally to do this. Gotten us into Lincoln Center.
That was amazing.
That was dope.
So for those of you guys in the audience, I want to say maybe it was 3 years ago, we got approached by Lincoln Center, and they have their equivalent of Summer Stage. And it was a 50th anniversary of hopscotch, not hopscotch,
Double
jump rope.
Double Dutch.
And it was like New York Times did articles on all this, whatnot. And then Lincoln Center said, hey, could you guys do a collaborative piece, a Mama's Kitchen like production, by incorporating double Dutch jumpers who like win competitions and travel the world, like a whole other side of the world that we knew nothing about. We all came together in the melting pot, let's put it that way, put our heads together and create this amazing collaborative piece. And yeah, we rocked Lincoln Center as one of the featured acts for the month to kick off August. And so cannot wait
that was dope.
In person again, but that was such a milestone. Also Hostos. So Hostos has really helped build us up and support us, because we actually, year one, we were at a borrowed auditorium that someone was a teacher, one of our friends was like, oh, you can use our space.
In Chelsea
at the O. Henry Learning Center. We had like a boombox. We had like fake spotlights. Like honestly, it was like very cut and paste. We thought just like our family and friends were gonna come, like 75 people. No, it was packed with 500 people. So at that point we were like, oh my God, like we need more space. And then Hostos came into our lives at the right moment, and we've been rocking with them ever since.
And really quick to add to that, like the Hostos piece, like Hostos is just not, oh, it's a community college. Hostos was fought for by the people, by the Black and brown people of the community, because they demanded an institution of higher learning. So Hostos's blood, sweat, and tears was put into making sure that Hostos existed. And so it is an honor for us to be a part of Hostos, to be a part of a space of resistance, and that our work really is work of resistance, right? Like making sure that people understand that that education and information and education is at the forefront of us being the best that we could possibly be. And so being able to have a free space, Hostos being able to give us that space, it's dope, you know? So thank you, Hostos.
Thank
I'm
you.
gonna move on. Oh, go ahead, Bruja. You were gonna say something?
I said, thank you, Hostos.
Yeah.
You know, thank you, yeah.
Hostos, yeah,
And
it's
also,
been amazing.
Thank you, Hostos, in terms of the production value. Like, come on now. We were able to go from a boombox to like a real production team. So it feels really good for us to like.
It does feel really good. It does feel really good. So check this question out. So y'all have been, I'm so excited. Y'all have been in the industry where we experience all kinds of, I mean, just not even in the industry, women, period. We experience the patriarchy, the misogyny, the male chauvinism, and all of that, the inequality, although the crazy abuse that we experience just existing within these spaces that are male dominated, right? Hip hop created being one of those spaces where it's not necessarily always a safe space to be in, right? And somehow your light has been able to sit at tables, like have a seat at these influential and really powerful tables. So can you give like one or two tips how young women can empower themselves to also get a seat at the table? What does that look like?
Sometimes it looks like building your own, like what Mama's Hip Hop Kitchen did. And I think that for me, that's what it's often meant. And that means that the boys are welcome sometimes, you know, too. And they do come because they know a good table when they sit at one. So, but I think that's really, really important. I think the other side of that is, in order to be able to do that, you have to have the confidence to do that. You have to have the conviction. You have to have the faith. And that comes from knowing yourself and loving yourself. And that may mean in doing internal work so that you can get there, making sure that you're keeping the right company around you, the girlfriends that uplift you, that affirm you. If you're always beefing, you're in the wrong space. And yeah, you gotta love yourself.
Gotta love yourself.
Starts within.
You know, I think to get to those tables, you have to be consistent, you know, consistently be at that craft, you know, and in the highs and in the lows, you cannot be here looking for fame or money. This is not the place for it. You want to get to those big tables, it's a lot of sacrifice. It's a vision that you have to keep, steadfast and forward looking at, focusing on uplifting your people. It's a much bigger thing than just yourself. You have to sometimes be willing to be nobody and do the work. It's not about, being the center all the time. Like, this is not what it is. And it's a lot of giving. It's a lot of giving and a lot of love. So if you don't love this, don't do this. It will break you. It will break you. But if you love this, it's not even like a choice that we like. This is our calling. Like, we've done it from young because it's in our spirit. It's part of our spirit. But there are some people that haven't been ignited in that way, and the spirit is within them. But yeah, I would say, in the highs and the lows, in the small stage and the big stage and the backstage, and just be there, do it consistent, every chance you get. Little steps take you all the way.
Right.
In her shoes. Y'all are wordsmiths for real. It's working. It's working. Man, thank you for that. Thank you for that. Just know that, I'm a fan, like I follow your work and I get inspired from your work or by your work. And but the most exciting part of being your fan is that you both are truth tellers and you're all of the best storytellers that I know. Mm-hmm. And so I can always, yeah, for sure. And I can always connect. I feel like I'm in the story or you put out there. And I know that we have all had our experiences that, our own trauma, and how you've been able to transcend that trauma and be triumphant. It speaks to everything that you're saying. Uh-oh. Am I still here?
We got you. Yep.
Okay. It speaks to everything that you're saying about like having good friends, having a good tribe, making sure that you check in with yourself and you handle your inner work, making sure that you're consistent, that you show up. And it's not about just showing up for everybody else. It's about showing up for yourself, right? Loving yourself, self-love. Right. And as a 41-year-old, I am watching you all, and I am watching you as if I was a 15-year-old, because I feel like I'm learning from. It's great. It's great, and I hope that folks tune in more to what it is that you guys are doing, and the people that are just that are coming into this this live that haven't heard of y'all. That now they're gonna be in this next space with you guys, and like go into a next phase, because you take people into another phase of their life. If they're actual fans, you help people shift their narrative and organize their narrative. And so I think it's freaking dope. I think it's dope. I'm just like, I'm open right now. I'm fangirling, and it's okay. Like, whatever. I'll be that. I'll be that. So the next, I love it. Like, whatever. Who cares? Like, whatever. So the next question is, and this was a cool question. It says, let's imagine hip-hop music and culture as a ball of clay that you could shape and mold. What do you see, and what would you create or build? That was by Toni Blackman. That was her question.
Toni don't play. Toni don't play games. So Toni, do you have an answer since you thought of the question, or do you want me to answer?
I don't have an answer, but you go ahead. I'm thinking.
Well, when I think of a ball of clay, I just think of a a new earth, like a new planet that's a matriarchal world, and it's like and we live in teaching in hip hop, and all the children, or whether they're painting or dancing or writing, emceeing, or playing music. Like I just see this like hip hop utopia run by women, basically the bubble we create every time we get together. I see that, but the whole world like that, like in all languages and in all. I'll make a new earth.
Well, I've been thinking so much about dreaming a new world. And I think that we are at a point in history where, London Bridge is falling down, like Babylon is coming down, and it's an opportunity. And each day I ask myself, what possibility are you going to create, not just for yourself, but for the liberation of all people and of all women? And so what can I do in my context, using my gifts, my talents? There's certain things that aren't my strengths. So, but what in my toolbox can be utilized? I've been thinking about this a lot. And so this question comes up when I think about hip hop, because we think about what's wrong with it. We talk a lot about what's wrong with it, but not enough about what's right with it, and not enough about strategies and solutions to make change. And so I'm thinking if it was a ball of clay and I could shape it, you guys are gonna think I'm a dictator if I tell you my real vision. I'm like Harriet.
We want to hear.
No, I'm like Harriet Tubman. I'm like, let's get rid of the weak ones, and let's get rid of the ones that's holding us down. Like, they gotta go. First of all, they got to go. So I'm not an advocate of violence. However, they're killing hip hop, yo. They're killing the culture, and like the rapists need to be dealt with, and the misogynists need to be confronted, and the cowards need to be, we need to have conversations with them. And I also think we have to stop making mediocrity okay. And we have to be able to speak out about the contradictions. So because we are addressing a contradiction doesn't mean we hate or dislike a person. And because I am human, I too have contradictions.
Yes.
As much as I don't like this particular artist, if the song comes on and we are at La Bruja's, house in the barn, my head might not. However, that doesn't mean that I'm not allowed to be human and check. But I just think there's so much to be done with it. And what I'm excited about is I'm excited about us. I'm excited about the women we know. And it's one of the reasons why I've become such a cheerleader, because we all have such power. And yet we overthink, we overplan, and we're not utilizing we're acting like tomorrow's promised. We're acting like we have time. And I don't care if you're 25 or 45 or 55. That don't mean you got time, baby. Just because you're young doesn't mean you have time. And so there is work. If we can trust that God has gifted us, that God has anointed us to do what it is that we do and move forward powerfully, next leveling, leaving no stone unturned, right? Call the stylist, call the makeup artist, call the producers and the directors, call the script writer, whatever it is that we need. We have those people in our community. So why are we operating here when it is our voices? We need to make and I just wish, I wish I had more business acumen, because I'd be mainstreaming all of y'all voices like a revolutionary, channeling Asada and Che and all of them. But my gun, my weapon would be this media thing. My weapon would be this music thing. I still believe, I believed it. When I started freestyling in 94, I believed it was possible. And I still believe it's possible. I had to get my healing on, but I'm back.
You sure are. And I have loved, like I think of all the shows we've done over the years, and I just, I have memories like over time of seeing you, and like meeting up backstage, greeting each other, like, yes, or arriving to a show, and greeting each other, loving, and just, and then that sisterhood, that support, that camaraderie, and, and then going up and then watching each other just do it, like, do and it just it thrills me, but this pandemic also taught me that sometimes you gotta be all of those people that Toni mentioned, right? So you gotta be the the stylist, the hair, the makeup, the camera person, the editor, the writer, the engineer, you gotta, and why not? Like, really, like this pandemic taught me just how far I could do something like that, because we didn't grow up with cell phones that had cameras and recording equipment. And now that we do, it's like I appreciate it a whole lot more because I did not have that, so I was like, wait, you know what, forget the middleman, I'm gonna just use this thing right here. And boom, made like 8 videos in this pandemic and went from nothing, no video, to like
8 videos.
8, yeah.
Yeah, I did 3.
But you did 3. I think that it's or I feel like it's so exciting to hear this part of the journey. This truth right now, this COVID truth about that, even that you are your own community too.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like you are your own community, that you're actually talented in a whole bunch of other ways, and you were put in a position where you had to kind of pull out all of these other entities that live within you. And that's to be celebrated. That's to be celebrated, because when I think about our indigenous, our ancestors and all of the things that they experienced, I mean, goddesses or what?
Right.
Like, for real? And so, and we come from that, and so, and that's the piece, right? That's why we keep pressing and pushing self-love. You got to know yourself, you got to work on yourself, you got to take care of yourself, you got to deal with the trauma, you got to dig in deep. And it's because you deserve to experience the sacredness of the lineage of your family. You deserve that. That's the stuff that's taken away from us, and so you deserve it. So I'm gonna move into the next little part of these interviews, which is individual questions. So Toni, I'm gonna go with you first, and I'm gonna ask you a few questions, and then Bruja, I'm gonna ask you a few questions. We have a little bit of time, so I'm gonna shorten the questions and probably just ask you one question, or you know how it goes. Okay, cool?
Yes.
Man, I feel so good right now. I feel it's like rewarding. This is a rewarding experience. I feel full. It's delicious, actually.
I can't with you.
I love y'all. So let's see. Toni. So I've heard you speak of hip hop wounds before. I heard your clip in Byron Hurt's film Beyond Beats and Rhymes, where you likened your relationship to hip hop as a woman as borderline abusive, right? How did you heal those wounds, and what has your process been like?
Well, those wounds are very typical of any woman who has been a part of hip hop and or the music industry in general. I've listened to the stories. I've heard them in green rooms and at conferences, at the table. There's so many stories that never get told publicly, because women are afraid of being blacklisted, there's a whole bunch of stuff that comes with telling the truth around certain things. And I think that the wounds, the healing was a comprehensive healing program that was revealed to me over time. And a lot of it dealt with me having to do this internal work, the seminars, the retreats, the meditations, my spiritual practice, and prayer and affirmations and cleansing and detoxing. I am a super, super sensitive being, very soft, very strong, yet just as fragile as I am strong, and very, very porous. And for me, a lot of it, I had to travel sometimes I'm one of those people, I have to remove myself in order to get over a thing. And I have so much empathy and compassion for people who don't have the resources or who don't understand that they can too. But so that's my journey has involved that healing process and doing work that I love. I tell the young women in my life, I don't care how great your partner is, your mate, always have your thing. Have a life of your own. And I've said that to so many women, grown women, who needed to be reminded, no, but what is your thing? Because I'm gonna tell you what it does when your heart is broken. It keeps it from falling into pieces because you were whole on your own, because your whole self has a thing, and you're not just breathing life outside of yourself, but you're breathing it for you. And I think that has been an incredible part of my healing process.
Nice. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. I'm gonna ask Bruja a question, and then I'm gonna ask you guys the same question in a second. Bruja, I would love for you to share just a little bit about being a Taino and what you have a Taino name. You're a part of the Taino nation. You are connected to something that so many of us see as something that's so far away that we don't have access to. Can you tell me a little bit about that journey, and if you could share what your name is or what you were named?
Well, growing up, even though I was baptized Catholic, my family still practiced indigenous practices of healing, curanderismo, espiritismo, connecting to spirit. And I was named after la patrona de Cuba, the Orisha Ochun, la Caridad del Cobre. So like I had, the indigenous, I had the African, I had the colonized, the European. I had all of those. I learned about all of those things. And it informed what resonated with me, right, was always First Nation way, the tribal way, the earth way, connecting to nature. I believed, that heaven was on earth. Look at how much more immaculately perfect can earth be and nature be. Like, this is heaven and we shouldn't abuse it now. So I started delving more into what that meant, wherever I stood, on what land, who was here first, and then going and then studying that. So I did that here in Puerto Rico, learned that Puerto Rico was Boriquen, the Taino, but in the Bronx that I was in Soundview in Siwanoy land, Snackapins, a land between two waters. Those were the indigenous people for thousands of years, before the 1600s, before the 1500s here, so like it was really all about history. And then, to acknowledge these, to learn these, to go to every Taino, Areto, or Bate, learning the language, that the language still lived in English. Barbacoa is barbecue, canoa, canoe, maracas, batatas, like all of these words. Huracan is hurricane. And, like these are Taino words. Hamaca, hammock, that live in our language in English because of, so like the more I learned, it keeps opening. So then, yes, I connected to the people that were still practicing and still teaching the indigenous way of the Taino, and have, helped curate and help produce the Taino Awards and, just all kinds of different things. And I was given a name, my name, Cachiana O. Cachi is sun, Ana is flower, and O is the sacred mountain in Hayuya. So I am sunflower of the sacred mountain. Now, when I was given this name, This person had no idea that the sunflower is also Ochun, La Caridad del Cobre's flower, that it was also my sorority flower. So which was great. So when I got it just, I freaked out like that. That's when you know spirit is real. Spirit will speak. And I was given that name after having all these sunflower connections. And I was like, well, yes, I guess that really is who I am. And then here I am now in Puerto Rico, and I was just, in El Yunque, in the rainforest, and I feel the ancestors here. I'm here very close, right here where Loíza, where the most African community is right here. So it's just this, I feel the ancestors here. I feel them. And that exploration keeps going. It keeps going. But that's how it started, was just, what land am I on? Whose land is this before colonization? What did we do before colonization? And it's, and even being La Bruja, becoming, calling myself La Bruja, it was a feminist choice. It was a political choice. It was a spiritual choice, to awaken the inner healer of that we all are, because we have to be able to heal ourselves as well. That we've been disempowered in that way, be told not to, so that we'll become medicine dependent. This is all a structure that has been working very well, and and vilifying the indigenous way, so that we fall victim into and become dependent, and while they sell poison in clinics, and so I think I answered too much, but that is all of that, and it came from finding who we are. And then taking the DNA test and being 15%, like I have colonizer blood, but I had African blood, I have indigenous blood, 15% indigenous. And I was like, you see that we are told often that we were obliterated, but
not true.
It's still here.
It's still here. Oh man, you all are so beautiful. You all are so beautiful. And this is exactly what we wanted, right? We wanted folks to have some more information on you, a little bit more of who you are, right? Like just those little intricate details around why you're healing, how did you start healing? Like when was your first track that you wrote, right? Those things that people don't really know. And people are also so afraid to reach out to artists, right? Because they feel like we're like untouchable, and it's actually the opposite. There's so much joy when we get to connect with folk that are not on the stage with us, right? That are, it makes us feel normal again, because sometimes being on those stages, you're like in this, it's a whole other level of energy, right? And so, we are going to have to bring it to a close, but I don't think this is going to be the end of our series. I think we're going to keep moving with this. It's necessary. These more in-depth conversations are critical to our existence, really. And being able to document where you ladies are at right now is so dope. This is history right now, and we're just so happy that we have this platform to be able to make it happen. Kathleen, so I love y'all. Y'all are a blessing. Kathleen, I'm gonna pass it on to you.
Yeah.
Thanks, girls.
Thank you.
Love you.
Tonight was amazing. So thank you guys all for tuning in. We look forward to seeing you guys at our next date on March 19th. So
May.
I'm sorry. May. Oh my God, May 19th. Sorry.
Okay.
Already in April, May 19th. But also, don't log off yet, because keep watching. It's on the screen. You're going to see some upcoming events for some cool things that are coming up that Hostos is producing and hosting. So thank you guys all for coming, and stay tuned to see what's coming up next, and see you all on May 19th.
Besitos, muchacha, la amo. I love you.